Okay, folks. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is August 21st, 2017. We've got live coverage coming up here in about 25 minutes of the president's address to the nation concerning the situation with the longest American war we fought in Afghanistan. Now, they're going to basically, the word is, call this a build down, which is what they've been doing for 10 years. About 6 years into the Afghan war, they started calling it a build down. Now, we know that Eric Prince of formerly Blackwater, now XZ and other names, presented them a plan that basically mirrored the first plan, where just a couple hundred special forces went in, stabilized the country, and we're going to pull out. Then it turned into a giant contractor operation. The Taliban turned against U.S. forces. In the last decade has been that situation. But I had Jack Posobiec on, who's just talked to Eric Prince a few days ago, who'd actually briefed the president in the last month on the third plan, because you can evacuate and then have people hanging off helicopter skids like we saw in 1975 in Saigon with the pullout of Vietnam, or you can just have an endless war that goes on forever, or you could have what they call this build down, or you could simply go in and then turn the tribes basically against each other and use a divide and conquer strategy. But that only works in Afghanistan historically if the main Western power is actually pulled out of the country. So we're going to play a Jack Posobiec clip today from my syndicated broadcast. Then I'm going to be in here with Owen Shroyer and Rob Dew right after the break. And we're going to be going over the build-up to this speech and what's about to happen with this speech. Now, this could be one of the first times that Trump actually reverses himself on a major campaign platform. So we're going to be looking at this very, very closely. We told you Trump starts going sideways, we'll be the first to break it down. But I'm not sure exactly what's happening until we see what the president announces and then see it implemented. But we're definitely keeping an eye on this. Here's part of the interview today. Stay with us. We're hurting the New World Order. We're exposing their global government system. They're in trouble thanks to you support the broadcast. You aren't behind us. You're at the heart of this operation. You're the blood. You're the sweat, you're the tears, you're the oxygen. You are the Infowar, and together we are unstoppable. So Jack Posobiec, I want to play a clip and go to calls and have you ride shotgun with us, but I've been asking the questions here. You've always got a lot of intel. Banning out, shakeups, increasing troops in Afghanistan. I know as somebody in the military, you're not supposed to comment on the president's policy specifically on that. One reason you've never gotten into the fact you were in naval intelligence, but they're trying to run you out of that now. But obviously, I don't want to say the president's going sideways, but I don't think a lot of this is a good sign overall. I know that Bannon kind of stood by when the generals took over, when McMaster came in. So there's kind of this argument, well, you got eaten last. But at the same time, I see Breitbart doing such great work. What do the tea leaves say to you about all this?
Alex, it reminds me of a situation where you had one person in there, like we had to different points of the campaign, that was closer to sort of more of an ear of the people. And that's what Bannon sort of represented. He wasn't somebody who was necessarily setting every single policy. It wasn't just coming from Bannon. People understood that. He was holding the president's feet to the fire. He was remembering what the campaign promises were, and he was working. You saw that whiteboard that he had right behind him every day in his office that said, how are we going to do these things? How are we going to get the travel ban? How are we going to get the wall? What are we going to do in Afghanistan? So his plan for Afghanistan, which he took, they called it the Eric Prince plan, but it actually wasn't that. It was the plan that was used immediately after 9/11 in Afghanistan. I actually spoke to Eric Prince on the phone last Friday morning prior to. He was barred from going to Camp David. He was barred from going to present his plan, which was just a reminder of what the U.S. did immediately after 9/11. It was when we went in, we found locals that could be worked with, people who weren't Taliban, people who weren't these extremists, people who knew the culture, people who spoke the language, people who wouldn't be seen as an occupying force. And we worked with them to achieve our goals and to achieve stability. Look, we don't want to take over Afghanistan. We're not in the business in the United States of running other countries. We just don't want the Taliban or ISIS.
So you're talking about a stabilization force, so there's not another failed state for ISIS or Al-Qaeda to reconstitute.
Exactly. One that's set up and run by the Afghans, and have those people, so have Americans only there in more of an slightly advisory role with some special forces to be going after these ISIS nut jobs, but then working with the different tribes, working with the parts of the Taliban that actually are open to moderation. Those ones, look, it's Afghanistan, right? Every other person in some case,
and that is what the Afghans want. They want us out. So so what do you make of this speech of the president coming up tonight? We'll be covering live at Infowars.com.
Yeah, we'll be seeing. I mean, it remains to be seen. There hasn't been any official leaks or any official response about what his speech is going to be. But the big problem, and Alexander the Great learned this going back 2,000 years ago, is that when you march into Afghanistan and look like an occupying force, this is fourth generation warfare, Alex. You know this stuff. It makes you look like the overpowering aggressor, and it's going to make people want to rise up against that force. So we've got to find a way to make it look like it's Afghanistan getting our help to push out the extremists, not another invasion of the country, not an occupying force. That's the message that we need to send. So we have to be very careful about any sort of surge, any massive, whether or not tanks and armor are going to be going in, what type of uniforms people are going to be wearing. In fact, Eric Prince, in his plan, he said we weren't even going to wear U.S. uniforms. We were going to have people wear sort of this joint uniform that didn't specify it to make us look like these occupying.
All right, well, let's talk about that, because that's a big deal. Talking to Eric Prince, founder of Blackwater, and then XZ and the rest of it really got demonized by the left. But it turns out that behind the scenes, he's exposed the pedophile rings, helped expose Hillary. They really hate him. They've been wanting to try to, set him up for a long time. You say you talked to him. What can you relay about that conversation?
Well, what I can relay is that he's essentially been sidelined at this point by the National Security Council. At one point, his plan, there were people saying that actually Kelly was considering his plan, was looking at it and saying, you know what, this makes sense. Alex, at this point, no one will talk about the numbers. We already have about 8,000 troops and over 10,000 more contractors in Afghanistan.
Sure. So let's talk about Eric Prince's plan, because nobody was hearing this stuff. This is interesting.
Sure. So his plan was to reduce that number down to make us, instead of looking like an occupying force, we were going to send contractors in, people that had the mandate of the U.S. government. They'd be working for the U.S. government, but with Afghanistan Special Forces, with Afghanistan Army, to work culturally with the leaders over there that are willing to be on board with the United States to look for stability. So it's not the U.S. going in there and telling Afghanistan what to do. It's that we're working to achieve stability rather than going in with a massive occupying force. Because his worry, Alex, Eric told me, that if the U.S. goes and sends another 5,000, 6,000 troops to Afghanistan, it's going to look like a massive invasion. And Afghanistan remembers what happened in 2000.
And we heard months ago that Trump, and he signaled, exactly, he was looking at reduction and going with that plan. The word we've gotten is he's going to announce expansion tonight.
Yeah, all signs indicate that the president, because they removed any third option. This was the third option. The only two options presented to the president at Camp David on Friday were the surge or a complete withdrawal. So if those are the only two options, of course he's going to choose the one that doesn't completely follow what Obama did in Iraq. Because the president
well, here's the deal. If we're going to leave, we shouldn't announce it. We should just do it, or it'll be like 1975, people hanging off helicopter skids.
Exactly. So we can't have that. That's what happened in Vietnam. That's what happened in Iraq after the complete pullout during Obama. But what wasn't at the table was this third option of a reduction of, instead of having a massive force, have a smaller, smarter force that goes in with the mandate of using Afghan troops. And
but instead they're going with instead they're going to go with a build down.
Yeah. So what they're going to say is there's going to be a surge up front, and then eventually it's going to slowly go down. So it'll be big up front and then come back at the end. It's almost like accounting, right? But the problem is that's the same thing that's been going on for the last 16 years. It's the same line they always use. It's the same mandate. That line, it's not a 16-year war.
Yeah, they've been front loading this from the beginning, and it's pure crap.
Sure, and there's going to be parts of Afghanistan that the U.S. unfortunately remain in for a long time, because a lot of people in the Beltway are talking about it like Germany or Japan or South Korea, where the U.S. essentially has permanent forces now and permanent bases. They're talking about permanent bases in Afghanistan. That's the long-term plan here, Alex.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, we're up here on this weeknight transmission special broadcast. It's on Infowars.com. It's critical that TV viewers and listeners take the live links from Infowars.com and share those with everybody you know, because that's how we reach more people with our live analysis of what's unfolding. Now, the reason I decided to come in tonight and be part of this with Owen Shroyer and, of course, Rob Dube is because it's so incredibly important that everybody understand that this is a big part of the future of the Trump presidency, which has the elites totally against him. And they have tried to get him to expand wars into Syria. He's not done that. They've gone in and taken out the Al-Qaeda and ISIS forces. So on so many fronts, Trump has been in control and has been delivering on his agenda, from TPP, pulling out of that, to the carbon tax, pulling out of it, to securing the borders. But that said, on other facets, he said he didn't like the big drug war on marijuana. Well, they've expanded that. He said that he would go after the IRS. Hadn't done that yet. He said he would expose the vaccines and have this big commission. That's kind of stalled. But they're blocking everything he's trying to do and trying to remove him because they don't fully control him, obviously. But now with Bannon going out, and as Jack Posobiec was saying earlier, the system gave him two options, either complete withdrawal or this build-up surge thing towards a withdrawal. They've been using that on presidents for 15, 16 years. Now America's longest war. There is that middle option of sending in people to stabilize the country, overthrow the Taliban / ISIS Part 2, and pull out. And that's something that is part of history. When we first went into Afghanistan the first 6 months to kick the Taliban out, just using a few hundred special forces and others, the people were ready to overthrow the Taliban. It was not easy to do, but much easier than coming in as an occupying force with tens of thousands of troops later, and then being part of the ongoing 3,000-year civil war that's been happening in what is known as Afghanistan. So it's not that we're even losing the war. You can't lose something that's already lost. So Owen Shroyer, your take on this, and Rob Dew has been kind of going in and dredging up the documentaries, the research on this, and it's very conclusive that it's easy to overthrow a regime in Afghanistan. That's the culture, but it's very hard to be the regime that's in power. So the question is, how can Trump go from all these tweets rightfully saying in 2014 and 2015 and 2003, he said, let's not be, in Iraq, this is dumb. I mean, he's been right all along. His instincts are right. But then we don't want to give ISIS and this thing Obama and the globalists have been funding, this safe harbor since they set it up with Brzezinski in 1979. So they're in there explaining this all to Trump, but they always try to use some police action he's involved in to expand it larger. So he's held the line against the expansion of the war in Syria and done the right thing there despite McMaster and others. But can he do that here? And is this a betrayal when he announces the build down, the build up to stabilize it, saying, well, we never put enough troops in. We heard that in Vietnam. And then finally things collapsed so fast, and we did pull out, and we got people hanging off helicopter skids, on top of the Hilton Hotel there in the main city of South Vietnam. So Owen Shroyer.
When I look at all the military moves that Trump has done, they've been very transparent. He always makes a public announcement. And it seems like he doesn't really go after innocent life. I mean, when we heard about Obama drone strikes, we heard about them at weddings. He strikes a former tunnel that was used for the CIA as a part of proxy wars. I believe that was in Afghanistan. He had a ground mission that he had the SEALs go on, and they got ambushed. So that was another one.
That was probably bad pigs. They probably got set up.
Yes. So, and then he had, in Syria, he drops the bomb on the airstrip. I don't think there was any loss of life there, and the airstrip was actually usable, I think, the next day. So when you look at all the military things that he's done, it seems to be very tactical, brinksmanship that is not taking things to the next level, trying to keep things from going to that
next level. He's not been starting wars. He's been ending them. But now no one's ever solved Afghanistan. The only way to win is not to play. But it's bordering nuclear Pakistan. The globalists helped arm the Taliban. They helped put them in charge. The same folks that helped give Kim Jong-un's dad nuclear weapons are the ones helping stir this up. So what do we do now?
Well, and you say it's not to play, or you don't go in with a large force. You go in with a small group of special forces guys who are used to embedding into cultures, used to working with cultures to overthrow larger regimes, to fight a guerrilla warfare, which they can do, and we've done it successfully in the past. We did it with less than 100 men back in 2001. They went right in there. They had a mission. There was no hamstringing like they did in Vietnam. So what we're seeing now is, I think the general's payback is what I'm calling this, because he's surrounded by generals. They're going, we got to go in. We got to go in. This is a payback system that's in effect now to keep the military-industrial complex probably from killing Trump at this point. I think if he doesn't do this, then they're like, nobody can protect you at this point.
Well, you notice as soon as Bannon was gone, Trump's lawyers signaled, okay, they're dropping the Russia probe.
Right.
Well, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But they'd expanded it to just money laundering, money, bounce checks, harassing his tenants. I mean, they're coming after his family. But I don't think Trump's going to go and do this through intimidation. I think it'll be through them selling him that it's the right thing to do. And then something he criticized Obama for. Obama actually expanded the Afghan war when he got in, saying Bush had done it wrong for the last
He did the
7
surge
years.
with McChrystal. That was the McChrystal surge.
Yeah, so this sounds like he's actually about to adopt the Obama strategy. Now, he may explain it to us a little bit different, or they may do a bait and switch. We're expecting, and they've leaked. But how many times is the New York Times wrong? They're more wrong than right. They're saying the word is this is going to be a 5,000 to 10,000 troop expansion towards a 1-year pullout date. But again, we've been hearing that since Obama got in 2008. This is the same rope-a-dope over and over again. And it just shows that if he does this, he's signaling to the popular thought process that has had us there for 16 years and killed tens of thousands of U.S. troops and cost us $1 trillion just in Afghanistan alone. And opium production's gone from 3% of world production in 2000 to now, 96% in 2015, last time we got numbers.
And, they can grow cotton on that land that they grow opium poppies on. It's perfect land for cotton, but the U.S. government won't support them because we grow cotton here. So instead of letting them grow a crop that they could use and be successful
Again, free market.
Exactly. No, we have to shut them out.
Oh, well, it's well known that our troops guard the poppy fields.
Sure.
The quote, good Taliban, the good Afghans, and then the bad guys get their stuff destroyed. And the argument is, well, we got to win hearts and minds and get them on our side. Wow. In the process, you just ramped it up 90+%.
And now we have a big opioid problem here in the United States. It is catastrophic levels right now.
And that's big pharma. About 10 years ago, they kind of loosened it up.
Yeah.
Oh, let the public use opioids, and they passed them out to the troops.
It's like they had it all planned out. They saw, we could get the opium, we could get people in here hooked on this, and then we'll go after them and just prescribe people opioids over and over again, get people addicted. People are coming home injured from Afghanistan. They're stuck on opioids. We've had people that worked here that almost got, stuck with them. They couldn't get rid of the opioids.
Well, they had the helicopters landing just saying, you guys are under stress. Everybody take opioids.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why they hand them out for anything here. And then once you're addicted, they put you in prison for using them. So then you go to the black market and you use the stuff that's on the street.
And it's cheap, too.
Trump, there's 3 things that Trump likes that I think can come from this. If he was sold that he can declare that they can go for victory in this speech, he's going to have a victory like he did when they passed GOP in the House to repeal Obamacare. He had a speech saying we're victorious. Well, it wasn't really a victory. They didn't get it past the Senate. So if he comes out and says we can have victory, we have a plan now, that's a thing he says, okay, look at this. I'm having a victory here. Now, there's
sure, it's like George W. Bush on the aircraft carrier deck. But, I mean, that's the problem is that he shouldn't be buying into their past mistakes. Like he said, 6 months into my presidency, ISIS will be defeated. Well, basically, he did do that. Yep. That's ending an Obama war. He said Obama started it with Hillary. They're the fathers and mothers of it. I'm going to fix it. Now, if he comes out and says they started all this, and I'm going to try my best the next year to get our asses out of there, but we can't leave hanging on helicopter skids, then we need a rear guard action for a special forces force and others to watch as the main military force pulls out. That'll be the tell. But if they put in artillery and Marines and Army and more, little mini bases and fire bases and all the rest of these things in, then you're going to know it's part actually of a larger invasion. And the Afghans are going to smell that. And they're going to start blowing the hell out of stuff and let them kill each other. Let's just get the hell out of there.
But I think that the reason why he would be willing to make this speech tonight and make a speech that sounds like an expanded war is because tomorrow you're going to see a jump in the polls and you're going to see the stocks at another record high. So he's going to get good headlines out of this. He's going to get a jump in the polls. The stocks will reach another record probably tomorrow. And
no, but we can't become Machiavelli and just go with what the establishment wants because it gets the stock market up. I like the stock market going up as we pulled out of TPP and the carbon tax and he cut all the regulations. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I agree. I think that's the thought. Are you saying that may be the thought here, or are you agreeing with just screw it, be political?
No, that's just the 100% thought. That's my political view. We would be out of the Middle East altogether.
You do the Ron Paul thing. We walked in, we walk out, and then you're out of there.
But that's just the reasoning and the logic that I think that Trump is following right now.
Well, I'll say this: if we're going to evacuate, they shouldn't even announce it.
No.
Yeah.
And then they shouldn't even tell the troops. They should just say you're getting rotated out, then nobody rotates back in.
Let me ask you this, though, guys. How much do you think has to do with the fact that we have troops that go over there and they go to war over there and they lose friends, they lose family, and so there is a bitterness. There is something there that they want to go in and declare victory. They want to have a victory. They want to feel like
otherwise
there was
they've
something they
died for
died for.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
But you haven't, because the victory is that Trump's in office and has banned people from 7 nations that are unvetted. They're highly vetting folks now from places like Afghanistan. It's not on the list. And that we're restoring our republic. The VA is taking care of the veterans, and that we're doing. But no, I mean, I get wanting to go win the war that nobody's ever won. You can't win it because it's a bunch of tribes that are perpetually at war with each other. Of course, you can unify them to overthrow the central government. But all these tribes want their own little sectors. You're never going to win it unless you kill everybody. I'm not advocating that. Unless you kill everyone in the country,
Right.
and then repopulate it. Okay? And you can't repopulate it with Muslims.
And then you have this sickening thing. This year, they finally outlawed the Bachi-Bazi boys, where they have sex with young boys. They just outlawed it this year.
That's one reason liberals like Muslims so much.
Exactly. So you've got that whole paradigm, too.
Salon promotes pedophilia and it
that.
promotes Islam.
Right. And so, it's a no-win situation. It really is a quagmire. It is a nation killer. The Soviets found out in the 80s. We've been finding out for the last 15 years. We can't win this war.
But it's a big money maker for the globalists.
Big time.
Well, let me just say this. We're up here, and I'm not complaining. I'm happy to be here.
I'm psyched.
On a Tuesday
Not
night.
that Trump's going to announce this, but I'm psyched about being up here and talking about
Exactly. We're up here doing live special reports, not just the syndicated radio and TV. And we got crew here, and we got like 2 guys in there running the show, and 3 of us in here. We need 6 people in there running it. But we're doing this on a skeleton crew. President should be speaking soon. He usually speaks a little bit late, builds the suspense. But we're going to be watching this, giving live analysis afterwards with some great brains here. But it is your financial support that allows all this, and we're in an expansion phase. And a lot of our crew that was working in the evenings is now working in the mornings for David Knight's 3-hour show. A lot of preparation, TV/radio, with 5-6 people on that. So we need your financial support. Infowarsstore.com makes it so easy. Thousands of high-quality products. We got big specials that I was going to run for another week or 2, but we just can't do it because so much of the products are selling out. 55% off on our great vitamin B12. 55% off on our great brain pill, Nootropic, Brain Force. 55% off on Survival Shield X2, despite the fact that even crap iodine is selling out nationwide because of nuclear fears. That's not why you take it. It's the normal halogens that are out there. It's the good halogen. It blocks it. We've got the Alexa Pure Breeze 4-stage ion, carbon, and 2 other systems for the price of $149 discounted. $240, it's usually a great deal. But at $149 or $147 or whatever it is unprecedented. That's got to end tomorrow. Infowarsstore.com or 888-253-3139. Whether it's Molon Labe t-shirts or CNN is fake news t-shirts or conservatism's the new counterculture t-shirts or coffee mugs, when you sign up for auto ship for anything that you reorder, that's an additional 10% off. You can cancel anytime. Infowarsstore.com, or you can call toll free 24 hours a day. We've got a crew here till 6 o'clock answers your questions, and it rolls over to an answering service. Same folks we've had for 20 years. They can answer your questions about the products, the t-shirts, the thousands of items. And that is 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. But the big BuzzFeed special, as I've been calling it, is going to end in the next few days. BuzzFeed 3 weeks ago did big test of our supplements by a California lab at California standards.
It was devastating.
And they said it's totally clean, and it's what they say is in there, and we can't believe it's actually real. But there's other brands that are cheaper. And then they showed the very same stuff we private label for almost double the price, and then mislabeled what we said we charge. The same stuff we private label for vitamin B12, Secret 12, they sell for $35 that we private label because it is the top rated stuff. $17.76. It's about to go up to $24.95.
Alex, I was on a plane over to Jacksonville for a vacation. Sat next to a guy who was a big fan. He didn't know who I was till the end of the flight. He's like, "You're Rob Dew." He pulled up the app. He had the old app, and he loves Brain Force and he loves Secret 12. Those are his 2 favorite products that he uses. He said Brain Force helps me up because I gotta work late, I gotta work long hours, and he's a ship guy. He works on a ship, and he says Brain Force keeps him going all the time. He just pops a couple of those, and boom, he's up and he's awake, but not jittery awake like coffee does.
Yeah,
so
we just went out and studied the top brain pills. Some of this stuff prescription in Europe, but really healthy and good for you. A little bit of green tea, a little bit of clean caffeine to help you, but it's not about a big hyper buzz. It's things your brain needs, things it needs as cofactors. And it's 20% more in each bottle. That's why it's Brain Force Plus now. And it's 55% off. We're selling it at cost right now as a loss leader. To introduce it to you in a little secret. You sign up for auto ship, additional 10% off. Most of these things are then loss leaders, but we're doing the biggest sales sustained and the widest sales. You never seen us do 66% off of colloidal silver. Then, of course, the super blue, colloidal silver, and iodine toothpaste is back in. The children's that doesn't have the peppermint, which makes it really strong, that's back in. The bubblegum flavor, the 66% off on the colloidal silver, silver bullet, same brand they sell at Whole Foods for $19 or $24, depending on what deal they've got. Normally we sell it for $15 or $19, $5 discounted. It's $9.95 right now. That is 66% off our retail. We rarely sell it at retail for $24, but right now it is at $9.95. So InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. Now listen, we were close to having Hillary in office and their whole anti-free speech agenda and all these wars. So I'm not saying I'm not positive about Trump. And the media is all against him and the Republican establishment, and they lie and say, what's he gotten done legislatively? Well, they've sabotaged him, but he's gotten the $4 trillion in the stock market, the $400 billion in the new jobs, the 1.5 million new jobs, the 69% less illegals coming across the border, the political correctness having its back broken, the snowflakes freaking out. I mean, it's certainly worth it, right there just to see that. It's just he's been so good. He was perfect the first 70 days. Brought back in the birthright, God, all of it that makes him so mad. For about 30 days, went a little bit sideways. They stabbed him in the back. So he's trying to compromise then. Art of the deal. Okay, I come in really hardcore. I kind of give and take. You get some of what you want, but we're always compromising, but then they always take ground. He was trying to compromise, and then we actually take ground. He's been doing that. They screwed him over, doubled down with Super Patriot, the couple months after that. Now we're going to see which way he's going. In this ever-changing approach to trying to, be pragmatic but be free market. So, Owen, what's your gut telling you about this speech that any minute should be starting? We're 45 seconds into when this is scheduled to start. You can see that on screen right there. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the president's set to speak from a major military base in Virginia. Owen Shroyer.
I think he'll come out hard on the failed policies of the past, and he'll talk about what the strategies that failed in the past were. He'll praise the generals for the advice that they gave him, and he'll probably even say that most of this is their plan. And I think then he'll say that he has a path of victory. He finally thinks there's a path for victory. He may or may not put a date on it.
Because that's going to be, you're right. The argument is Obama and others would micromanage literally every bomb dropped. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then he would say, I'm so good at killing people. I mean, what an idiot. And so maybe the generals and the troops can somehow defeat the crazy Afghans that nobody else has if they're left alone.
But that's always been the argument. The generals have always said, if you let us go ahead and do this, we can end this war. But they've never been able to end wars. They've always been hamstringed by this. So we'll see. All
right, let's go ahead. The Commander-in-Chief's coming in. Let's go ahead and fade up the audio right here. We're taking you to the White House feed. Of course, the big event is he's actually the president now. Doesn't mean he's perfect, but the president has been a total globalist puppet. So we're going to this live feed right now. Let's go to the White House feed.
Please be seated. Vice President Pence, Secretary of State Tillerson, members of the Cabinet, General Dunford, Deputy Secretary Shanahan, and Colonel Duggan. Most especially, thank you to the men and women of Fort Myer and every member of the United States military.
I like the White House feed. Can we cut to that? I know it's 10 seconds behind. Let's cut to that.
We send our
C-SPAN's been caught editing.
Members of the Cabinet, General Dunford, Deputy Secretary Shanahan, and Colonel
C-SPAN edits all the time.
Yeah. Would you hear that hum going on?
Most especially,
and notice C-SPAN,
thank you.
It's not just internet. They
the men
get
and
it
women
first,
of
but they
Fort
can also
Myer
delay it.
No.
And every member of the United States military at home and abroad. We send our thoughts and prayers to the families of our brave sailors who were injured and lost after a tragic collision at sea, as well as to those conducting the search and recovery.
Now, I want to make clear, we're going to have limited commentary, folks.
I am here tonight to lay out our
You're getting Infowars commentary with the president here. If you want clean feed, Infowars.com has it.
But before I provide the details of our new strategy, I want to say a few words to the service members here with us tonight to those watching from their posts, and to all Americans listening at home. Since the founding of our republic, our country has produced a special class of heroes whose selflessness, courage, and resolve is unmatched in human history. American patriots from every generation have given their last breath on the battlefield for our nation and for our freedom. Through their lives, and though their lives were cut short, in their deeds they achieved total immortality. By following the heroic example of those who fought to preserve our republic, we can find the inspiration our country needs to unify, to heal,
That's right. It's
and
that
to
spirit.
remain one nation under
God, I want
God.
that spirit versus the Seattle spirit.
The men
Yeah,
and
I
women
think this is smart to come
of
out and
our
start with this,
military
too.
One nation
operate
under
as
God.
one team with one shared mission and one shared sense of purpose. They transcend every line of race, ethnicity, creed, and color to serve together and sacrifice together in absolutely perfect cohesion. That is because all service members are brothers and sisters. They're all part of the same family. It's called the American family. They take the same oath, fight for the same flag,
Bleed the
and
same
live
blood.
according to the
This
same
is good. This is
law.
what he needs to be
And
doing.
this is about
They are
breaking
bound together
the
by
globalist
common
Soros's
purpose,
will.
mutual trust, and selfless devotion to our nation and to each other. The soldier understands what we as a nation too often forget, that a wound inflicted upon a single member of our community is a wound inflicted upon us all. When one part of America hurts, we all hurt. And when one citizen suffers an injustice, we all suffer.
But see, this is
together.
Martin Luther King stuff. This is
Loyalty
common
to
sense.
our nation demands
You look at Black Lives
loyalty
Matter,
to one
Soros, the
another.
liberals, it's the complete
Love
opposite.
for America
Frothing
requires
racism,
love
frothing
for
division.
all of its people.
And no arguments.
When we open our
Just
hearts
screaming.
to patriotism, there is no room for prejudice, no place for bigotry.
They'll probably
and
say he
no
didn't decry bigotry in the
tolerance
speech.
for
Seriously.
hate. The young men and women we send to fight our wars abroad deserve to return to a country that is not at war with itself at home.
Exactly.
We cannot remain a force for peace in the world.
The leftists start
We
the
are
Civil
not
War and then
at
act like
peace
Trump did it.
with each other.
And they'll probably blame this speech again and
As we
incite
send our
something.
bravest to defeat our enemies overseas, and we will
Has
always
he
win.
disavowed David Duke yet?
Let us find the courage to heal our divisions within. Let us make a simple promise to the men and women we ask to fight in our name, that when they return home from battle, they will find a country that has renewed the sacred bonds of love and loyalty that unite
The
us
globalists
together
really are
as
trying to break
one.
this country up. I mean,
Thanks to
it's
the
a fact.
vigilance and skill of the American military and of our many allies.
But see,
throughout
Bush
the
Sr.
world,
used war to break us up under
horrors
UN
on the
banner.
scale
Is he going to use
of
war to
September
unify us?
11th, and nobody can ever forget that, have not been repeated on our shores. But we must acknowledge the reality I am here to talk about tonight, that nearly 16 years after September 11th attacks, after the extraordinary sacrifice of blood and treasure, the American people are weary of war without victory. Nowhere is this more evident than with the war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history, 17 years. I share the American people's frustration. I also share their frustration over a foreign policy that has spent too much time, energy, money, and most importantly, lives, trying to rebuild countries in our own image instead of pursuing our security interests above all other considerations. That is why, shortly after my inauguration, I directed Secretary of Defense Mattis and my national security team to undertake a comprehensive review of all strategic options in Afghanistan and South Asia. My original instinct was to pull out, and historically, I like following my instincts. But all my life, I've heard that decisions are much different when you sit behind the desk in the Oval Office. In other words, when you're President of the United States. So I studied Afghanistan in great detail and from every conceivable
They have had
angle.
hundreds of meetings. It's crazy.
After many meetings over many months, we held our final meeting last Friday
Camp
at
David.
Camp David with my cabinet and generals
And they only
to
gave them two
complete
options.
our strategy. I arrived at three fundamental conclusions about America's core interests in Afghanistan. First, our nation must seek an honorable and enduring outcome worthy of the tremendous sacrifices that have been made, especially the sacrifices of lives. The men and women who serve our nation in combat deserve a plan for victory. They deserve the tools they need and the trust they have earned.
But victory was
to
never
fight
defined.
and to win. Second, the consequences of a rapid exit are both predictable and unacceptable.
Vietnam,
9/11, the
1975.
worst terrorist attack in our history, was planned and directed from Afghanistan because that country was ruled by a government that gave comfort and shelter to terrorists.
Saudi Arabia, the globalist
hasty
deep state, was
withdrawal
involved in that.
would create a vacuum that terrorists, including ISIS and Al-Qaeda, would instantly fill, just as happened before September 11th. And as we know, in 2011, America hastily and mistakenly withdrew
I'll say this.
from Iraq. As a
Obama
result,
never
our
even
hard-won
talk about his
gains
policy.
slipped
We just had
back
8 years of the
into
war
hands
expanding.
of
Yep.
terrorist enemies.
Drone strikes.
Our soldiers watched as cities they had fought for and bled to liberate, and one were occupied by a terrorist group called ISIS. The vacuum we
Obama-
created by leaving too soon gave safe
And the
haven
same
for
CIA
ISIS to
funded the
spread,
globalists.
to grow.
So, Trump, are you
recruit,
going to defeat the
and
globalist
launch
operation?
attacks.
I mean, what does he do
We
there?
cannot repeat.
You
in
say Hillary
Afghanistan
created
the
ISIS with
mistake our
Obama.
leaders
They're the
made.
enemy. We've defeated them. We're pulling out. We're telling
Third
the
and
Afghans, you put
finally,
them back in, we're going to
I
come back in.
conclude
I mean,
that the security threats we face in Afghanistan.
you
and the
sign a
broader
treaty with their
region
asses, and you say you don't bring them back in, or we're coming back, and you leave.
Exactly.
Today, 20 U.S. designated foreign terrorist organizations are active in Afghanistan and Pakistan, the highest concentration in any region, anywhere in the world. For its part, Pakistan often gives safe haven to agents of
This sounds like a
chaos,
speech for a major invasion.
Yeah,
violence,
it's just like North
and terror.
Vietnam.
Just like they-
Pakistan, they just
The
come right
threat
in.
is worse
You know, there's no
because
stopping them.
Pakistan
Just like
and
he just beat
India,
ISIS, so they're like, okay, now, sir, we got to mop this up.
Right.
whose tense relations threaten to spiral.
Totally different. A bunch of Muslims from
into conflict.
England, the U.S., Europe, all over invading to steal swimming
No one
pools and
denies
rape
that we
women and
have
take over. It's easy to kick them out.
challenging
Comparatively, this is going to be a whole different enchilada.
situation in
What do you think, Shroyer?
and South Asia.
Well, he hasn't
But we
exactly
do not
said
have the
he wants to
luxury of
expand
going back
anything,
in
but he's
time
certainly
and
building it
making
up that
different
way.
or better decisions. When
And I just think
became
that his comments on
president, I was
9/11 are
running
going
a
to be
bad
very
and
unendearing
complex
to a lot of
area.
his base.
Well, all I know
Shroyer
is he
knew
said,
what
my
I was
instincts get the
getting
hell out of there.
Big
Yeah.
and intricate
And his
problems.
instincts about 9/11 were
But
something
one
else
way
too.
or another, these
And then just
problems
bomb their
will be
cities with
solved.
B-52s. They carry out the other terror crap. Hey, somebody from your country does something, we bomb one of your cities.
Win.
You just reciprocate. You don't sit there and
We
just
must
go
address
hold
the
a literal
reality of the
butthole of
world
the planet.
that exists right now.
I'm
The
serious.
threats
It is.
we face
There's a nice little opium zit on that butthole, though, that you can
All of the
squeeze for money.
problems of today and extremely
You're Henry Kissinger.
predictable consequences of a hasty withdrawal. We
Yeah, we don't want
need
to
look
haste.
no
You've only been there
further than
16 years.
last vile, vicious attack.
16 years is really hasty.
We're gonna be patient with this withdrawal here.
Stop at nothing to commit the mass murder of innocent men, women, and children. You saw it for yourself. Horrible. As I outlined in my speech in Saudi Arabia 3 months ago, America and our partners are committed to stripping terrorists of their territory, cutting off their funding, and exposing the
what?
false allure.
If he gives it a year timetable, I'll give him a
ideology.
shot. But my God, I'm not going to sit here 5 years from now or 3 years from now. We're just like live in Afghanistan.
He's got another 4 or 5 months here for a year, which he promised you.
Nothing but
So,
thugs and criminals and
said, give me a year,
predators
Alex.
and-
Well, I would
That's
be
right.
really against this if he hadn't, our troops hadn't actually crushed ISIS, not backed radical Islam in the last 6 months, and really cleaned this up. So maybe he is going to clean up what Obama and the globalists did. You think the generals really let him do that, though?
Well, again, we have to wait and see what he does. He can be catering and pandering this speech a lot just for the response it's going to get. You know, he could be.
But he doesn't normally do that. He does a speech and then really does it.
So, I mean, but he hasn't said he wants an expanded thing. He's just.
Oh, well,
building
it sounds like it. Let's hear what he's saying. You're right.
prevent nuclear weapons and
But
materials
yeah, you know.
from coming into the hands of terrorists and being used against us or anywhere in the world, for that matter. But to prosecute this war, we will learn from history. As a result of our comprehensive review, American strategy in Afghanistan and South Asia will change dramatically in the following ways. A core pillar of our new strategy is a shift from a time-based approach to one based on conditions.
Results,
I've said
yeah.
it many times.
Yeah, you can't
how
put time on it.
counterproductive it is for the United States to announce in advance the dates we intend to begin or end.
This may be a
military
cover
actions.
for the pullout.
We will not
could be, too.
Because he hadn't let us down
talk
yet.
about
And if I was going to pull out, I would give this speech.
And I also think it's interesting he keeps saying South China in there too, or South Asia, the South Asia seas.
Well, if you look at Afghanistan, here's China. I mean, it's right there. It's like 200 miles. It's all right there.
I wonder if they're going to focus more shift towards China's manipulation of those
China and
islands
India.
over there. Yeah.
Plans or believe they can wait us out. I will not say when we are going to attack, but attack we will. Another fundamental pillar of our new strategy
There's one.
is
Attack
the
we will.
integration
Yep.
of all instruments. of
That'll
American
be the big
power.
quote tomorrow.
Full
Diplomatic,
power. That's fully
economic,
operational
and military
battle
toward
station.
a
So they'll
successful
demonize him for
attack.
saying attack we will, but they won't
Someday,
say it's okay for
after
Hillary to
effective
say we came, he
military
saw, he
effort,
died, or I'm good at killing
perhaps
Barack
it will
Obama.
be possible to have a political settlement that includes elements of the Taliban in Afghanistan.
So I think this may be what I'm saying is a strength pull out, a real build down. But the thing is, the generals will tell him that and then not do it.
America will continue its support for the Afghan government and the Afghan military as they confront the Taliban in the field. Ultimately, it is up to the people of Afghanistan to take ownership of their future, to govern their society, and to achieve an everlasting peace. We are a partner and a friend, but we will not dictate to the Afghan people how to live or how to govern their own complex society. We are not nation building again. We are killing terrorists.
I like
The
that.
next pillar of our new
No nation.
strategy is to change the approach and how to deal with Pakistan.
Yeah.
We can no longer be silent.
Because they're the
about
ones backing all
Pakistan's
this.
Safe havens for
And
terrorist
now we're hearing
organizations,
something. Here, let's hear
the
this.
Taliban, and other groups that pose a threat to the region and beyond. Pakistan has much to gain from partnering with our effort in Afghanistan. It has much to lose by continuing to harbor criminals and terrorists. In the past, Pakistan has been a valued partner. Our militaries have worked together against common enemies. The Pakistani people have suffered greatly from terrorism and extremism. We recognize those contributions and those sacrifices. But Pakistan has also sheltered the same organizations that try every single day to kill our people. We have been paying Pakistan billions and billions of dollars. At the same time, they are housing the very terrorists that we are fighting. But that will have to change.
They were following the
that will
globalist
change.
strategy. They were following the orders.
No
Since
partnership.
Brzezinski.
Retreat across the border.
I used to have Hamid Gul, who just died a couple years ago,
Yeah.
former head of Pakistan intelligence. He used to come on my show exclusively.
Oh,
You
no.
know, we've been saying what he just said so long that we're almost numb to it. But I think what he just said will actually shock a lot of people.
What?
Saying that we're sending millions and millions of dollars to Pakistan terrorist groups that are killing us.
Billions. Yeah, that's the tweet that Trump. We've been sending money to terror groups in Pakistan. That's just true.
And a key security and economic partner of the United States. We appreciate India's important contributions to stability in Afghanistan. But India makes billions of dollars in trade with the United States, and we want them to help us more with Afghanistan, especially in the area of economic assistance and development. We are committed to pursuing.
You know
our
what?
shared
That'll make
objectives
Pakistan go
for
insane.
peace and
Yeah.
security in
So,
South
but that's what
Asia
India wants
and
is
the
us to team up with them
broader
against Pakistan. So what he's
Indo-Pacific
announced is,
region.
India, we're
Finally,
in with
my
you
administration
against Pakistan and
wants you
China.
to use
So this is a war against Afghanistan,
brave
Pakistan, and China.
defenders
He
of
just
the
told you the real
United
takeaway here is we're going in with India. That's why the Indian prime minister is like hugging him and all this, because the Indians are getting slaughtered by the Muslims. The real takeaway, you're not getting anywhere in the news, folks, is what you just got, is that the U.S. is going in with India against Islam and is basically launching a giant new offense on China's border, backing India. The big takeaway is we're not going to play patty cake and fund radical Islam and then use it as an excuse to take American rights. We're going to block it coming into the U.S., block it coming into Europe, and we're going to ally ourselves with India against radical Islam and China. This is huge news. Super dangerous.
They're blocking the back door. That's what Afghanistan is, the back door.
Super giant news.
Yeah.
In real
Let's hear this.
time, with real authority, and with a clear mission to defeat the enemy. That's why we will also expand authority for American armed forces to target the terrorist and criminal networks that sow violence and chaos throughout Afghanistan. These killers need to know they have nowhere to hide, that no place is beyond the reach of American might and American arms. Retribution will be fast and powerful as we lift restrictions and expand authorities in the field. We are already seeing dramatic results in the campaign to defeat ISIS, including the liberation of Mosul in Iraq. Since my inauguration, we have achieved record-breaking success in that regard. We will also maximize sanctions and other financial and law enforcement actions against these networks to eliminate their ability to export terror. When America commits its warriors to battle, we must ensure they have every weapon to apply.
So it sounds like he's saying no double deal with the Taliban and Al Qaeda. We're going to crush them. We're allied with India. We know China's involved.
Troops will fight to win. We will.
What he's saying is we're throwing a gauntlet down, not this political PR deal. We'll see what happens.
A clear definition: attacking our enemies, obliterating ISIS, crushing Al Qaeda, preventing the Taliban from taking over Afghanistan, and stopping mass terror attacks against America before they emerge. We will ask our NATO allies and global partners to support our new strategy with additional troop and funding increases in line with our own. We are confident they will. Since taking office, I have made clear that our allies and partners must contribute much more money to our collective defense, and they have done so. In this struggle, the heaviest burden will continue to be borne by the good people of Afghanistan and their courageous armed forces. As the Prime Minister of Afghanistan has promised, we are going to participate in economic development to help defray the cost of this war to us. Afghanistan is fighting to defend and secure their country against the same enemies who threaten us. The stronger the Afghan security forces become, the less we will have to do.
Well, so he's announcing the gloves are off. The military can make its own decisions. That's not new news. We haven't heard the amount of the troops are going to be increased. And then India is going to financially and with advisors and other things is going to help. That's a huge announcement that is going to stir Pakistan up into just frothing. They're on the edge of nuclear war with India. They both got nukes.
Well, and there have been skirmishes along the border of China and India.
Right? Oh, yeah, it's basically
they're
at war.
fighting each other. It's hand-to-hand combat.
To protect our shared interests. We are not asking others to change their way of life, but to pursue common goals that allow our children to live better and safer lives. This principled realism will guide our decisions moving forward. Military power alone will not bring peace to Afghanistan or stop the terrorist threat.
I mean, I don't like any more war. I don't want to see any of these guys die.
Strategically applied force aims to create the conditions for a political process to achieve a lasting peace. America will work with the Afghan government as long as we see determination and progress.
Well, there's no mistake if they use this to get us to build up our force and then pull out, good position, and then broker a deal between India and Pakistan by putting Indian pressure on Pakistan, that could be a way out of this because it's a larger geopolitical, because it is Pakistan manipulating Afghanistan.
Sure, totally. And it's giving them safe haven, giving them people, giving them weapons.
Real results. Our patience is not unlimited. We will keep our eyes wide open. In abiding by the oath I took on January 20th, I will remain steadfast in protecting American lives and American interests. In this effort, we will make common cause with any nation that chooses to stand and fight alongside us against this global threat. Terrorists, take heed. America will never let up until you are dealt a lasting defeat. Under my administration, many billions of dollars more is being spent on our military. And this includes vast amounts being spent on our nuclear arsenal and missile defense. In every generation, we have faced down evil, and we have always prevailed. We prevailed because we know who we are and what we are fighting for. Not far from where we are gathered tonight, hundreds of thousands of America's greatest patriots lay in eternal rest at Arlington National Cemetery.
Robert E. Lee's
There is more courage, sacrifice, and love in those hallowed grounds than in any other spot on the face of the earth. Many of those who have fought and died in Afghanistan enlisted in the months after September 11th, 2001. They volunteered for a simple reason. They loved America, and they were determined to protect her. Now we must secure the cause for which they gave their lives. We must unite to defend America from its enemies abroad. We must restore the bonds of loyalty among our citizens at home. And we must achieve an honorable and enduring outcome worthy of the
I'll say this. Obama would just expand the war and say nothing about it. So we're hearing it front and center, taking responsibility to see what comes out of it.
Will honor the sacrifice of every fallen
it's the best
hero,
way you could push an expansion.
Every family who lost a loved one.
But
every wounded warrior who shed their blood.
His instinct is don't do it.
Great nation.
Yep.
With our results,
but the argument is then that China comes into the vacuum, and then they can manipulate India and all the rest of it. But we're a republic, not an empire.
And in addition to the heroin, there's also $1 trillion in rare earth minerals.
Well, he said that. He said we will share with our costs with them in development there. He's saying we'll get the nickel cadmium, we'll get the rare earth,
But that's what China's going in for right now. So that's part of the thing too, is to push China out of there.
Which we've never done. They have 98% of rare earth minerals. We just give it to them like it's theirs.
Well, they haven't been fighting a war. They just go in and dig.
They just go in and economically do it.
They're not messing around. They don't care. They'll say, yeah, sure, Americans fight.
All right, I guess they're going to put a press release out or something about the troop, but I guess he never says the troop increases. He doesn't want them to know, but sounds like a full-on invasion to me.
He said a couple things. He's going to change the conditions of how they're going to fight, and they're not going to have a timetable. It's just going to be, we're going to have goals. And whatever those goals are, he hasn't told us yet, but they're going to have certain goals, obviously, which means getting rid of the Taliban and going after Pakistan, something Obama never did. Obama never went into Pakistan. He left them alone, except when he made that one mission.
Let's put them back on screen, yeah. So there goes Trump. All right. You guys got any final comments? I know we have this Eclipse of the Sun special report that Gavin and Millie had put together. Gavin Wentz is pretty powerful. 1776, the last time we saw full one over North America. Yep. This is the eclipse of the century. The media said it was racist. I don't know how they said that, but Atlantic Monthly and others.
It was a black sun. I guess that's why it was racist.
Well, no, because it didn't go over enough areas that were main black
cities.
Wait.
Guys, I have a clip in there that's a little racist. Pull up that clip of the young lady getting beat up. That was something that just came across today. Like, here's this guy. First, these guys are beating this dude up. And then his girlfriend comes in and says, "Get off him."
Just no hesitation. I'm just going to throw a girl and then kick her in the face and then knock her out. No hesitation.
Well, she's white, so she deserves it. Where's this?
Exactly.
This just went out on Twitter today. And
that's a public school. You can see it's a school.
Yeah.
And the schools will do nothing.
Yeah.
First day of school. Schools will do nothing because that's...
First day of school, this is what you get.
Yeah.
What's deserved. That's why I put a white travel advisory. And I'm not a race guy, but I mean, it's like 25 times a white person gets killed for every black person being killed by a white person. And it's everywhere that I'm killing people and I'm this evil person. And just like women with American flags are being beaten up. The media's like, well, she deserves it. Screw that flag. Right. CNN and folks, I mean, these are...
Violence through peace. They actually put that as a headline on one of their articles. Antifa is getting peace through violence.
CNN, MSNBC, they're all promoting this. I'll say this. Trump's securing the borders, getting the economy going, not being politically correct, kill the TPP, kill the carbon tax. The enemies of this country hate Trump. The corrupt Pope says open the borders, all of them. And so I'll give Trump benefit of the doubt on this Afghan thing. I'm not going to be an armed quarterback. It's 16-and-a-half-year war, longest war in modern history. And
it's a war nobody else really tried to win at this point.
And he's got to know inside the globalists are trying to sabotage everything he does. They already Bay of Pigs some of the Navy SEAL raids to get intel where they, ratted out to blow it. But, I mean, maybe he thinks if he just commits and believes the military and the people, somehow they'll believe in him.
And going back to that Navy SEAL raid, they were supposed to do that under Obama's administration. They were supposed to launch it in December. And they said, oh, there's no full moon. That's the excuse was. They told everybody. There was actually a full moon at the end of December. They could have launched it. And they just waited.
And then they told the guys they were coming.
Exactly. So that was a big setup for Trump. Because then they're like, hey, we got this on the table, sir. You want to go?
And they go, oh, look, the family's mad at you. I mean, that's what's scary is about us having wars and stuff is there's a fifth column that almost wants the end of the world to happen.
Sure.
I mean, you go out to Seattle or Denver where guys got a short haircut, so you're an effing Nazi. They stab you, and the media's like, well, he is a white guy. Or, he shot a cop in the back of the head. Well, cops are bad. And it's just like, man, this is really getting crazy. And it's like, you can't make up how hateful they are. And it's not even really on average black folks that are doing this or Hispanics. It's mainly white people that I've seen leading it. But you look at this public school where this attack, you can see the buildings, and they're beating the guy up. 5 black guys are beating the white guy up. So the girl gets involved. So they beat the living hell out of her. And it is just,
And I think these guys have to be gang members or something because a lot of them are wearing red. That's a telltale gang. It looks like some.
Well, the schools will probably kick her and the other.
Oh yeah, it'll be their fault. It'll be their fault because they probably instigated it.
Well, and this is an illustration of the division in our country right now. And
but if you go to World Star Hip Hop, there's 10 a day of them killing some old white guy or killing a white girl, and it's like.
But they call it a game. It's different. It's a game. It's a knockout.
It's a knockout game.
It's a knockout game.
Like if you walked up and shot 10 black people, God forbid, it'd be like a game.
It's a game. It's a shooting game.
No, if you did, it'd be the end of the world. It should be.
It's just crazy how they invert reality. And like Antifa could go out and beat up people, and they're just achieving peace through violence, and that's okay. And we're not allowed to say anything about it because we're racist Nazis. If we don't bow down to these people running around on their smartphones telling us how to act.
But it's not working anymore. Like you were there last night, and people were just, it was mainly white folks saying, death to America. It was just at UT, and this is just, wow, this is the worst country on earth. We're going to all go to Switzerland. I said, well, they won't let you in. Oh, screw you.
F you, F this. Well, but this, again, it's all this division, and as you pointed out earlier, how you can give a speech or talk about war or go to war to even unite the country, paint an enemy to unite the country. This is the most I've heard him talk about 9/11 in a long time. Let's not forget that it was after 9/11, this country was more unified perhaps ever in my lifetime. I'm 28 years old. And
they use it to create a police state and then bring in more Muslims.
So maybe he thinks, though, but just by virtuing 9/11, he can somehow try to unify the country behind that. I don't know.
Well, overall,
I didn't like the stance on it, though.
Yeah,
obviously.
Overall, I don't like it, but, you have to do something. You can't.
Well, I mean, here's the deal.
He
hasn't let us down yet.
Right.
And so we know the enemy's the globalists, the mainstream media, but seeing Trump do this is following basically very close policies that the globalists were carrying out.
Right.
But they were doing it to lose and have it go forever and weren't involving India and weren't involving China and were selling us out. So he's changed so many other policies that the calculus clearly is different now from whatever they know, if you believe what Trump's saying. I believe he believes the calculus he's been given, even though his gut tells him wrong. That's why I say it's probably bad. But time will tell.
Well, and Mattis is no Rumsfeld. Mattis is a guy that likes his troops. He doesn't want to see his guys die unnecessarily. And he goes, if we're going to go in, we're going to go in and do it right. So he's got a track record of doing that as well.
Yeah, they're going to tell whole groups, just surrender, everybody dies.
Yeah.
And they're telling India, we're allied with you against Pakistan, which shows we know Pakistan is screwing us over. When he says, Pakistan work with us, but by the way, India's coming in.
Yeah.
That is gauntlet
They're
city.
probably going to put the Indians on the Pakistani border.
It's also being talked about now.
That would be because they're the ones who will sit there and defend it. They would probably love that.
Oh my gosh, have them come in.
Yeah, come into Afghanistan.
Oh my gosh, there's a headline. It's true. It's just Trump signaling the injection of Indian troops into Afghanistan. Oh, that would turn them against us. That is crazy if he does that.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something. People think like people hate America or people hate white people. You go to Asia, man. The Indians, the Pakistanis hate each other.
And they look
the
exactly
Chinese
alike.
and the Japanese.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like.
But we're racist.
We're crazy town.
We're the most racist.
The Vietnamese hate the Chinese. I mean, it is like vice versa. I mean, it is. The Chinese hate the Koreans.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
The Chinese hate the Japanese. It's just.
Well,
but we're racist.
I know that they're looking that the Owens who worked for the Democrats.
They're getting indicted.
Yeah.
That's a good sign from Sessions.
And they're now saying
that's a good sign.
They're now saying that there could have perhaps been sensitive information.
We should have a big scale. I'm going to buy a big antique scale in here. We have a little weight to go. Okay, that's good there. There's bad there. Like literally. So where's the scale still? I mean, we know Hillary's bad.
The scales.
Trump was like this, but now we're kind of like, well, a little bit. No,
we have the scales of Trump, but he's at each hand going like this.
The scales of justice.
You have a forge, make that.
Sure. Well, we could probably find a good one. I'm sure we could find a good one. That would be nice and big.
Big gold head.
We'll put your.
Oh, very nice, very good.
We want your head on there.
No.
The scales of justice.
Hey, I like how you guys dolled up the studio.
Jones.
Hey, today was our first show with David Knight doing real news, and the morning crew did a knockout job.
Lots of breaking news, lots of breaking clips, lots of breaking things happening. All right, well, that's all going on tomorrow. We're out of here. We told you the nightly news is on hiatus for a while, but there'll be lots of live transmissions when things break. Infowars.com. The enemy hates this show because there weren't talking points here. We were really trying to figure out what's going on.
I've been looking for the teleprompter the whole time in here. I couldn't find
it. Or the guy telling you what to say before the show. We're like, and usually we pretty much know the topic or the issue. With this, time will tell.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Trump means well. I see a lot of his angles. I understand his instinct was against us, so is mine. We'll see if he can use us against China, extricate us, give us a good victory, stabilize things. If he can do it, he'll be even more impressive.
One thing we know for certain.
He did just smash ISIS.
CNN's going to be butthurt no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be butthurt crying about this, trying to angle this. Even though they're pro-war, they're going to try to angle this into going against Trump.
What was he said, though? We're not going to send hundreds of millions of dollars to people that are killing us in foreign wars.
Yeah. Oh, they probably hated that.
That'll be the one that they try to twist. Yeah. That'll be the one. Or
that was very racist what he said.
We're going to win, or we're going to fight our will to fight.
What he's saying is, if we're not going to give you all this money if you keep killing us.
Right. And it's like, again, we've been saying that forever, but some of these people are going to be like, oh, how could you say that? It's just cut and dry. It'll be interesting to see the media.
Another big takeaway is he always says we don't tell you when we're coming, what we're doing.
Yeah.
We didn't hear the increase, but it sounds like a big one to then get it done and be goal-oriented, not time-oriented. But
I'd say it's going to be 7,000 to 8,000 troops.
Empires go to die. Hell, some generals ask for 50,000.
Yeah.
Empires go to die in Afghanistan.
They could do it with a small force, though, if they got the Indians involved. And if the
Dude,
Indians
the Indians will completely stir up all the Muslims, the Pashtuns. You know how much they hate the Indians?
Oh yeah, it could get crazy.
I get India in saying we're allied with India on pressure on Pakistan to make Pakistan work with us to not fully ally with India. I get that. But using Indians in the country,
Yeah. You think that's a no-go zone?
I mean, unless you want to completely blow it up into World War III, yeah.
Well, it kind of looks like where we're going.
I mean, let me tell you something. The Pakistanis and the Afghans are all related.
Yeah.
They hate Indians like India hundreds of years ago controlled it.
You know, another thing that happened today, I don't even think that was big news. South Korea went and did their exercise. Nothing happened. North Korea didn't bite.
That's because they told North Korea, you launch more missiles at Guam or whatever, you're done.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, for the first time in decades, they backed off.
But they called their bluff on that, too.
We'll see
They
how long
said
that
they didn't
lasts. I
want
mean, we're living in incredible times. We're going to go to
really
this total eclipse of the sun breakdown that our crew put together, and Gavin wins, and then we're going to end this live transmission, but then it'll be archived at Infowars.com, Infowars.com/shows, where you'll find David Knight and the whole crew up here chipper, 8 a.m. Central, that's 6 a.m. Pacific, 7 a.m. Mountain, that's 9 a.m. Eastern, Infowars.com/show. You only see a few guys in there running this feed, but tomorrow there'll be like 6 people in there. So please join us and spread the link. We're working hard for you. Have a free open debate. Take your calls live tomorrow. Big sales in tomorrow, InfoWarsStore.com. So take advantage of those. Thank you all for helping us build InfoWars. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, here goes the total solar eclipse piece.
Yep.
Good piece.
Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. We are here in Spring City, Tennessee, where we are going to witness a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The sun is going to go into total eclipse with the moon, and we are going to witness a corona, a solar corona. Everybody's out here. They have their special eclipse glasses. If you didn't get one, well, then you were out of luck because they sold out fast. As you can see, there's a lot of people out here. People drove from many cities just to come out here and witness this event. It has been 99 years since a total eclipse went across the United States, and we are going to witness some pretty bizarre things, folks. We are going to see shadows coming from the trees' leaves that look like little mini eclipses on the ground. It's said that the temperature will actually drop a full 20 degrees. So let's go ahead and look over here because this is where we're setting up. We have our camera going here. Let's see if we can show them what we're seeing here. All right, so it's pretty exciting. We are almost there, folks. Have you seen an eclipse before?
I have. Yeah. Back when the appropriate way to watch it was through a box with a hole in it. At that time they said never look at the sun, but they've gotten away from that now. At totality, you can look.
So where are you from?
Philadelphia.
And I didn't get to ask you, where are you from?
I live in Virginia right now.
Yeah.
All right, Virginia.
I'm from Pennsylvania, Williamsport.
Nice. So is this your first time seeing an eclipse?
Yeah, it's my first time seeing a solar eclipse, but I've seen a few lunar eclipses before.
Nice. So did you drive out here just for this?
Yeah, I made the decision to come down here about yesterday at 11 a.m. when I heard a bunch of people from my school were going down. So I said, why not? You know, might as well just go down and see it.
What do you think about the path of the eclipse, how it cuts right through the middle of the United States?
I actually looked into that a little bit, and I think we're really lucky that's happening to just be going through the entire country, since usually, I know, I saw a few times where it they went over the ocean or the South Pole or somewhere really remote and desolate. So we're really lucky that it's going right through the country.
Where are you from?
I'm from Canada.
From Canada?
Yep.
Did you come all the way down here just for this event?
Yep, I did. Yep.
Is it your first time seeing an eclipse?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Well, are you excited to see a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity?
Well, there's another one in 7 years also, right? So let's see it again. But it's been a while, right?
I think it's a sign of God's nature, is what I believe it is, and it just makes me want to say hallelujah. It brings people here, and people are enjoying it. It's science, and the children get to see it. I think it's a wonderful experience.
What do you think about it?
Well, it'll probably be the last eclipse I ever see, since I'm an old lady. So I'm really excited about it. I've been anticipating it for years.
Oh, so where are you from?
We're from Chattanooga.
Okay.
Not a very far drive, but far enough where we want to be right at
The epicenter.
the epicenter.
The epicenter of.
So tired of me saying that.
That's what we've said. The epicenter of the eclipse.
From Bluefield, West Virginia. Drove about 4 hours. Wasn't too bad. It was a great drive.
Wake up at 6 a.m. to be here on time.
Nice. So, are you excited that this is such a rare event, that we haven't had something like this in 99 years?
Oh yeah, it was definitely well worth the drive. I mean, I've seen people from New York City, there's Alabama, there's a Florida license plate over there, and everyone else is thinking the same thing. Got to check it out. My family, they live in Colorado. They're driving to Casper, Wyoming, and I know several other people who are driving from Bluefield too. So.
Well, all in all, it looks like people have come from all over the United States right now along this path that this eclipse is going to take, where we can see the moon come and block out the sun, and we will see this wonderful corona surrounding it. And it's just going to be so amazing to see, you guys. This is very exciting, and it just kind of speaks to some of the craziness that we're seeing right now in our country, because this path takes a path directly dividing the nation in half, and maybe this is an opportunity for us to all come together as a nation, witness this wonderful, whether it be a biblical event or just an amazing rare solar or celestial event. It's an opportunity for us Americans to come together and witness some of the wonders of this world. So we are nearing total eclipse right now, and some pretty bizarre events are happening. It is starting to get noticeably darker. It looks almost like it's nighttime, and you can hear the bugs have all come out, the crickets have come out, the cicadas have come out, and here it is, guys. We are witnessing the eclipse. You can see right now. Woo! Woo! Yeah! Woo! Look! Wow! Woo! Look at the moon, buddy! Wow, what we are seeing right now is so unbelievably beautiful right now. I mean, it just looks out of this world. It is so beautiful, and everyone is just looking up mesmerized. It looks like it's nighttime outside. It has drastically gotten cooler. It's just amazing to see. I'm looking at it on video right now, and then I'm looking at it up in the sky, and how beautiful it is in the sky greatly outweighs what you see on the camera. You can't even capture even closely what you're seeing on the camera. So what did you think of the eclipse?
It was one of the most incredible experiences in my life. I drove here all the way from New Jersey, and it was totally worth it. I'm so glad I did it.
It was awesome. The most awesome thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never witnessed one. I'm 51. It's awesome. I missed work for it, and it was well worth it, every minute.
I'm glad you invited me.
What did you think of it?
I'm speechless. I never seen anything like that either. I hope I'm alive for the next one.
Yes.
What did you think of it?
You can't put it into words. You see solar eclipses on television and pictures and whatnot. Until you experience one personally, seriously, it just touches a person. It touches a person.
Doesn't it look so much different than what you see on film?
Yes, totally different. There's nothing to describe seeing it live. You're sitting here and you're watching it. The sun is slowly disappearing, and then it's totally covered, and it's like, it just puts you in awe of the universe. It's awesome. Awesome.
You just look up and think how far the difference is between the size of the sun and the moon, and how different the distances are, and they come out from here to be the same size. Now, don't try to tell me that's random chance. That's a creator showing off.
Oh, it was incredible. It was the most spectacular thing I've ever seen. I thought it was beautiful. How about you guys?
What did you think of it?
I want to cry. It was very emotional to see how the sun was coming up. It was great.
It was worth it. And anybody who didn't get to see it, I'm sorry. It was miraculous. And it just was like a spotlight shining down on you. It was wonderful.
It's kind of interesting to look all the way around, and it looked like a sunset or sunrise all the way 360. And also the crickets are all still chirping because they thought it was night for a while.
It was very cool. We also liked how the shadows got very crisp.
It was totally in a lifetime an adventure just to see that happen. It was pretty great.
What'd you think of it?
Awesome knowing I'm young and got to see it.
Was it worth it?
Sure was.
So what is this here that you're showing?
It's a pair of binoculars that just made a little device so that you can view it through the binoculars on a piece of white paper.
Very cool.
We drove 3 hours from Huntsville.
I'm really glad the globalists returned the sun. I think that Donald Trump helped with those negotiations, and I'm glad we reached a good ending.
Well, all in all, it was a miraculous event. Definitely something that came off as heavenly and out of this world. And I wouldn't miss it to save my life if we have that opportunity again in my lifetime. This is Millie Weaver signing off for Infowars.com.
Why is the fungus? Why is the mold? Why is the yeast taking over? What is going on? What has changed? Dr. Group, the new product, Myco ZX, supports normal fungal and yeast balanced proprietary blend of herbs and enzymes made with high-quality ingredients.
Yeah, fungus is a growing epidemic, and I've been testing this formula and making changes to this formula for over 10 years.
It's available at InfoWarsStore.com. We also have free shipping, orders $50 or more, and 10% off when you sign up for auto ship. Additionally, on top of that, please, we only have a limited supply of this. I want to get your reviews. I want to hear what you have to say. For me, it's been incredible. Myco ZX, antifungal, antifungus, anti-yeast. Get it today. Limited run. It'll be months till we get more. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, or 888-253-3139. I cannot sell something unless it helps somebody. And you can't support an organization that isn't fighting hard. Look at the response we're getting. The way we're changing the world together. You are the InfoWar. God bless you all.